Hello, hello, welcome. You thought that I forgot about you. I haven't. I just had to get some caffeine to help me get going. But don't worry, I never forget about you people. You guys are near and dear. All three of you viewers are near and dear to my heart. You are my top three favorite viewers on the planet. So I would never miss this for the world, even if I have a cough like some other people. Sometimes they're like, oh, I think I got something from the cruise. I can't make the show this week, or whatever other excuse they make. But also, I would take this anywhere. If I'm out on the road, I take my webcam and do it from the road, even if I was in the shower. Not that, well, at least two of you don't want to see me in the shower. But anyway, let's get on with the show.
Welcome to The Jarek Show, featuring your hosts, Javvad Malik and Eric Krohn. Timely topics, poorly presented.
So before we kick into it,
it's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
And there he is, the man himself that has rained down upon us all. Mr. Eric Krohn, how you doing?
I'm doing better than you. This whole morning, you getting online in time, and this just felt really clunky, man. What's up? Are you okay? Did you get enough coffee? Do you need more coffee? Do you need a few more minutes?
I am all good, man. It's the end of the year nearly. We only have, I think, one more show in us for this year.
Maybe, yeah, one or two.
Ooh, two's really pushing it. But I don't love you that much that I'm going to be speaking to you on, was it the 23rd of December?
Why not? It's just another day.
Yeah, but you'll be a lot older by then, isn't it? Oops, did I release?
Now you're trying to divulge PII, man. Come on. Have you not learned anything?
Is it the big 6-0, Eric?
No, no, there is no big 6-0 yet.
What is coming up then?
Yeah, my birthday is coming up, but I think I'll be 51, not 60.
Wow. Well, you're closer to 60 than you were, now. We will be closer to 60 then.
Well, you're closer to 60 than you were yesterday. So that doesn't make any sense, Javvad.
It does. It makes perfect sense. So what would you like for your birthday?
Gosh, I had, there really isn't anything I'd like for my birthday.
Like a new hit, Botox, filler, some dental implants, whatever you want. Nothing's too much for you, my friend.
I'd like you to get on with this show. How about that?
Okay. We will be taking suggestions throughout the show. If you want to pop some in the comments or email us later, then please do. So cyber criminals scammed each other out of millions. This just like is a headline that just puts a smile on my face. I don't care if it's true or not, but cyber criminals have lost at least 2.5 million to scammers on just 3 underground sites in the past 12 months, according to research by Sophos. What do you make of this?
I love this, just like you do. I think it's one of those very interesting things where, we forget about all of the stuff that happens under the underground, and the fact that there's infighting and there's people these are criminals dealing with other criminals. And some of the dark web marketplaces, they act as escrow, where if you make a purchase of something, you basically pay the site holds on to the money until the person receives it and says, yeah, I got it, then releases the money to the seller. Just like if you've ever bought from AliExpress, the Chinese company, that's kind of how they do that, right? Okay.
I don't do business with the Chinese, unlike you.
So, but it's kind of funny though that these folks always go after each other. Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Yep.
The thing that I love about this is, like, we've seen some very interesting stories. There was some stuff going on with the MongoDB stuff years ago, where the MongoDB databases were found to be not secured well, and a bunch of these bad actors went out and started like encrypting them. Oh, nice mug, oldie. I wonder who got that for you. But they went out and they started encrypting these databases. And what would happen is the organization would go, oh, crap. And they'd pay the ransom and they'd decrypt it and only find out that one of the other bad actors had encrypted it also before that. So it was like multiple levels of encryption. We've seen that. We've seen folks where they'll take like Tor browsers and they'll modify it. So if they see like a Bitcoin wallet address, it actually replaces it with their own. So they're stealing like people's money that's trying to pay these other bad actors that have something going. I mean, there's all this kind of stuff that goes on back there that we don't
Yeah,
really think about. And
I
then
know.
you remember when we had the Ukraine thing and groups split there and they started dumping source code and stuff like that because they were arguing among themselves and having issues there. So there's, whenever you get people together, you get stuff like that going on and we just don't think about it.
No, no. So that reminds me of this film with Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones in it. I think it's called Entrapment. And there's a scene in it where there's a valuable piece of art that needs to be stolen, and Catherine Zeta-Jones, she does the whole like looping under the lasers and everything,
Right.
and doing somersaults and what have you. She gets this artwork, she rolls it up, pops it in a mail tube, and then drops it into the mail off that museum or off that place so that it'll get shipped off. So she does all the hard work, does it, and Sean Connery, he's a rival like thief. And he just knows what she's up to, and he just waits in the lobby and waits, and then goes picks up the mail tube and then walks out with it. So this is what it's
Excellent.
like. You can just wait for someone to do all the hard work, encrypt someone, and what have you, and then just replace it with your own Bitcoin wallet and
Oh
take,
yeah.
take all the rewards.
I love to see this kind of stuff going on. I really do. It's a little refreshing, a little bit better than all the losses and stuff that we hear from legitimate people and people trying to run their businesses. So
Yes.
I always love it when we see stories like this.
So I was at BlackHat Europe this week, and
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick rundown later. But I was talking to someone. They were saying how they saw a talk by someone at BSides London. I think it was Andy Zephyr who done the talk. Zephyr Fish is his Twitter handle, I think. But what he done, he currently coded this thing. So whenever Patch Tuesday would come out, or whenever new vulnerability days were released, it would automatically go grab the details, set up a new GitHub, and say, "Here's how you exploit it." But when you go to run it, it will just rickroll you.
Oh,
So,
nice.
so he was just making it like, so all these script kiddies out there saying, "Oh, here's a news O-Day." They go to Google it. Oh, it's on GitHub. And so like tons of people being rickrolled at the
Oh,
same
that's beautiful. I love that.
Go on.
That
What's
was
this all
awkward.
about?
Awkward transition there, man. That was kind of
It's very natural.
yeah, very. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this story I saw, and I just thought this was pretty clever. I thought this was interesting how they're doing this with this Zombinder or whatever. And basically, what it boils down to is it's nothing crazy, but it's a malware for Android, and what it does is it kind of like attaches itself to a legitimate app. So the people install this legitimate app and the world's a happy place, right? So I think they did it off some Wi-Fi utilities and things like this. But this little zombie app out there, what it does is after a little while it launches and says it's time to update your this app. Like there's an update available for this app. So you click on update and it actually downloads the malware like that, which I thought was a really kind of a clever way to do that. Because people, if they think they're updating, even if it pops up and it asks you for permissions to something, you go, oh, well, it's just part of the update. And it just kind of gets people's mind in the right spot to be
Yeah.
willing to fall for this kind of stuff. I
Uh,
thought it was really clever.
It is. It is. It's a bit like sneaky. It's like if I come to you and say like, give me some money straight off the bat, and you don't know me, you're gonna be like, no. But if I build up your trust first and make out like we're friends, or send you some memes and say, oh, he's a cool guy, he makes me laugh, he sends me funny memes, and then I go wham in with the payload.
Right. Like wire me 1,200 pounds or something like that, right? Like
Exactly.
something along those lines.
Well, your maths is really bad because like I lost a lot of money in the transaction fees, but it's all right.
That's
I
funny. I
put
paid
the
for
money out
that.
to you, that's all that matters.
So, anyways, folks, no, it's just something to think about here. And this would be a tough one. If you think about it, on mobile devices, it's so much tougher to see things sometimes. right? Like even with phishing and looking at stuff like that. So when it pops up and it says it's time for an update, I'm not exactly sure what I would look for to make sure, other
Oh,
than to go to the app store and see if it's ready for an update there. I don't know. I just thought this was clever.
it's clever and it's horrible because I mean we often give people advice like when there's a new update available, download it. It's got security patches in it. It's got all this good
Yeah.
stuff in it, functionality. So even we're well trained to say new update available. Let's just download it. I don't want to be left exploitable. Little
Well,
do you
and
know, the update itself is what's called
yeah. Well, and as security professionals, how often are we going, you need to update as soon as you can, update as soon I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we
yeah,
drive that message home. We really, really do. So yeah, it's interesting.
right. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right, right.
22. So this next story, it's not really a story, but it's a masterclass on how not to do social media as a company.
Oh
So
no.
Raspberry Pi hired a cop. He used some Raspberry Pi to build surveillance tech, and now is being flippant towards and blocking anyone who is less than jazzed about that decision. So this is their original. We hired a policeman. It's going really great. Meet our maker in residence, Tony Roberts Pi. And he says, I was surveillance officer 15 years, so I built stuff to hide covert video and audio gear. I disguised it as something else, like a piece of street furniture or a household item. During all those years of using a Raspberry Pi, I didn't realize I'd end up and working here. So he's pretty excited. He's got the lightsaber out, nerd,
Oh yeah.
the whole thing going, and they probably thought this is cool. And then it's like, sorry, you've done what? But then Raspberry Pi's official Twitter account or Mastodon, I think it's the same across both. It's run by some proper Gen Z at the moment, or millennial, I assume, someone that's probably got a permanent resting bee face and chews gum and side eyes everyone, and like probably like some green hair, and so they're replying to everyone like,
Oh
pretty
man.
differently. Someone needs to keep an eye on us. The stuff we get up to in Pi Towers, I
I
swear.
swear. Oh man.
Um, so it goes on. There's like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're able to read more than a few words in the headline, you'd understand.
Wow. Okay. So this is, I mean, it almost feels like they're trying to be Wendy's, but not quite as
Yeah,
clever as Wendy's.
good job. You know him so well. We are reluctant to have you follow us. Bye bye now.
Oh
So
goodness.
it's going on, and like there's loads of these interactions. If being dismissive like that further erodes trust, if you don't understand these concerns, that's a learning opportunity for you. Bye bye now. It's just like, toodaloo.
Wow.
Having said that, I get that their responses aren't professional, but I'm struggling to understand what the outrage here is. They've hired someone who used to do something in the past, and is he going to be there like putting surveillance tech into Raspberry Pis you buy? I don't think so.
Or is he somebody that's just really familiar with the platform and
Yeah,
has seen it do some interesting things?
he's a plant from the NSA. That's what he is.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't really see why there's an outrage around this.
Yeah,
People obviously don't like law enforcement in some cases, and probably the whole idea that he was building covert surveillance was a little bit off-putting to some people, but ultimately this feels very bandwagony, man. Like just
it does. It does. It's like we want to be outraged about something. God damn it, give us a reason to be outraged about something.
yeah, I don't know. That is an interesting story. Now, you mentioned earlier though, I don't know if you have any other stories coming up, but
I've
you
got
mentioned
one interesting tweet, or a toot, sorry, should I say. I thought it was funny. Oh no, where's it gone? Oh no.
we are not responsible for anything he puts on the screen here, folks. At least I'm not.
As part of ongoing hunting and continuous monitoring efforts, intelligence team recently came across an interesting raw file. You could just tell us you found it on Virus Total like everybody else. I knew you'd like that.
Oh, goodness, goodness, goodness. Well, yeah, interesting times here. Now you mentioned earlier about Black Hat Europe because
Yeah,
you just came back from Black Hat Europe, right?
I
And
did.
yeah, how was that over there? Is the con thing starting to happen a little bit more over there on your side of the pond as well as over here?
Cons are picking up. Yes, people are turning up to cons, and everybody is by midday, everyone's like glazed over, saying like we are not used to so much in-person interaction. I'm not used to sitting down in one space and concentrating for so long. I want my home office back. But it was really good. So the way they have it here is like it's at the Excel Center, and where nearly everything is taking place these days. So InfoSec Europe is there, Black Hat is there, a ton of other like IP Expo, whatever you type events. And so they have like on one side they have like a third floor where all the briefings were taking place, where all the talks were, and then they had on the ground floor you have registration, but then zero, like below ground, you have the vendor expo hall.
Okay.
So if you're going just for the talks and you're just spending time up there, you're not going to naturally flow into the vendor hall. There's no
Gotcha.
like, pass through and what have you. So there was probably, and the vendor hall, I have to say it wasn't very pretty. It was cold. I mean, Excel is like this massive venue, and you have like it's like basically 50 warehouses all put together. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it has a very warehousey feel. There wasn't carpet everywhere on the floor. There wasn't like very good aesthetics and what have you. So for Black Hat, I was a bit surprised and a bit disappointed in
Mm.
that. So it loses 1 star there. But the talks and the people there and the conversations were really, really good. Dan Cuthbert, he done a fantastic opening keynote. It was really good, touched on a number of great points. He spoke about how there's a fetish within the industry to focus on O days,
Yeah.
whereas it's the same old boring stuff that actually wins every time. So, like, spearphishing still owns organizations and ransomware and what have you.
Yeah.
There was also a really interesting point, an analogy he drew. He said that he spent some time in South Africa growing up, and there was apartheid there, and everything. And he goes, there were some streets that were very wealthy, so they were like £1 million houses or whatever, like multi-million-dollar houses on those streets. And the rich people who lived there, they didn't like that poor people would walk down the street in front of their houses or drive them. So they then privately had gates put up on either side. It's a bit like what a housing association that you guys have over there. So unless you live there or a guest of one of the rich people, you can't even walk through it or cross through it. Given this was a public road, legally you're not really allowed to do it, but
Yeah.
money talks, and they had it. And he drew the analogy to how security is these days. Like, we have all the tools available, everything's there, but there's a walled garden of cost that prevents a lot of people going there. So if you want a secure phone, iPhone is really good, or the latest Google Pixel or Samsung is really good, but you have to spend like what, £1,500, $2,000.
Yeah.
As soon as you leave that category of people that can afford that, you're left with $150 Android phones running.
Huawei and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
They can't be updated. They're running in, if you want if you want Cloudflare, you have to pay for it. If you want anything remotely secure, you have to pay for it. And I think he was talking a lot about how there's this walled garden within security. He
It's
says,
interesting.
"Well, keynoting a conference that charges like over $1,000 per ticket." But
At least it wasn't in a SANS course, right?
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting thing. There's so much money in the infosec industry. It's just money after money after money. And for those small, medium businesses, trying to get them a way to compete or at least kind of keep their head above the water when it comes to what's going on out there and their threats. Yeah, that's a challenging thing. And a lot of I see a lot of small, medium businesses just kind of also looking at it going, if these big people with these huge budgets can't protect themselves and they end up in the news, what chance do I have? Which is a pretty unfortunate angle as well, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely. So just a quick comment we received from
oh,
Regret. I want to offer a promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, video views, chatbots. The price is lower than any
that.
competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on, incredibly flexible and convenient. All the management and everything in your hands. Turn it on, off, customize. Go to
Amazing.
dodgepipe.com.
Thank you,
You go
Twitch.
off and set that up, Eric. Do it now.
Yeah. So okay, anyways, before we're kind of meandering here, but you know, we're towards the end of the year. So I want to bring up a story that I have about you and I because I think it relates to something that happened to you. Okay? So follow me here. When you joined Know Before, where we are both colleagues now,
Mhm.
I took you on a training adventure, didn't I? And we went down to the great city of Miami, where I spoke at a certain conference. And as we got out of the car at that conference, a person said, "Oh, it's Eric. Man, I love what you do. I watch you all the time." And he was like really into like he was fanboying. I was like, "Hey, awesome, you know, great to meet you," and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, "See, Javad, we're in my place now." And then I remember as soon as we went in the front doors, the conference organizer was like, "Oh my God, it's Javad. Can you guys take pictures with me and Javad?" And like, I felt very deflated when that happened. And you loved that. You really just loved the way
It's
that
not
that
my
all went.
fault. Everyone loves me.
Right, right.
It's
So,
not my fault. I
but
cannot.
I understand something happened to you at Black Hat that you might have self-deflated a little bit after that. You want to tell that little story?
As I was leaving BlackHat or yesterday on the final day, there was two guys outside, Asian looking, and one of them saw me and he sort of like excitedly walked towards me with his phone in his hand. And he goes, "Excuse me." And obviously, I'm kind of used to this, as you know, like people coming up asking for selfies and what have you. And I said, "Yes," and like ready to take off my big jacket so that I look a bit smart and we can take a picture. And I'm already working at angles, the lights over there. If I stand on the right of them, then
You're in full politician mode at this
I'm in
point.
full politician mode. And he hands me his phone, says, "Would you mind taking a picture of me and my friend with the Black Hat sign in the background?"
Having no idea who you are because you're really nobody.
No, I felt like Eric. I felt like Eric. But a- as revenge, I didn't frame them properly. I cut off half of the logo. I threw the phone back in their face and said, "You're welcome." And that
Oh,
was the end of that.
you're so petty.
You enjoyed this a bit too much. Anyway, I am petty. I cut him off whenever I want. So, that's just how I roll. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed our meandering. It was a bit rambly, thanks to Eric today. I don't know why he does this. He just takes up, for his birthday, I'm going to get him a plant. That way he can carry it around with him and it can make up for some of the oxygen he wastes. So, with that, stay secure, my friends.